Alright, well, we're here underneath of Big Bouncy. There's transmission and motors up there and front differential. And well, we're underneath of it because we installed a 4-post lift in the garage. Which brings us to why my truck is up on the lift. There you can see the clutch sleeve cylinder, which has a piston that moves out and pushes that lever just like this. And that should disengage the clutch. I say should because it doesn't right now. So I'll show you that all the hydraulic system is working. I'm now in the truck, and I press on the pedal. It has almost no resistance at all, but you can see that lever still moves. This happened about an hour away from my house, so I had to drive home without a clutch for about an hour, which is fine on the highway, which it mostly is. But you know, the little roads coming to my house, it's kind of annoying. You know, it shifts through other gears, but the clutch, you push the clutch pedal down, and it doesn't do anything. So let's take the transmission off and figure out how to do this. Now, obviously, this video is going to be specific to a 1988 Toyota pickup with the 4-cylinder, 5-speed manual transmission, and 4-wheel drive. But the procedure will be similar for pretty much any front-engine rear-wheel drive vehicle. First, you want to remove the drive shaft, or drive shafts if you have 2 of them. So there's that. Next thing that needs to come off is the front drive shaft. And notice there's a dust shield around it. That needs to come off too. Okay, well, I got that dust shield off. What was that? Messy. And but you can't get to the back bolts on the front drive shaft. I got all but one out. On the front of the front drive shaft, there's the last one. That's holding that in. So we're going to put that off and get everything else around it, because we can't get those off until this cross brace goes out, or comes out. Since we can't do anything with the drive shafts, we'll just start working on the inside. Getting all the stuff around the transmission taken off includes getting these shifters out. So I already started peeling up the carpet here. You'll see 1, 2, and then there's a total of 6 holding that plate on. Okay, I got all the screws out. I just peeled the carpet around it. Pop this off to here. And now you can look into look at the top anyway, the transmission and the transfer case. Now you can remove the bolts that hold these shifters into the cases. Okay, and make sure it's in neutral before you do this. And just pop this out of here. Now there's a rubber seal type thing here, and there are 6 spacers / washers. Make sure you don't lose any of those. See, there's one there, and there should be one for every hole. Then you can do the same thing with the transfer case. I just put some masking tape over the holes so no dust or anything gets in there. Next, let's disconnect the speedometer cable. Now let's disconnect all the electrical connectors for the reverse lights and 4-wheel drive lights and things like that. So there's an unused plug, or unplugged plug. There's an unplugged plug, and there's the 2 wires just dangling. Now we need to remove the clamp that holds the exhaust to the exhaust brace. You can tell that this is not original. Now we can actually start playing with stuff on the clutch. So let's disconnect the slave cylinder here. No rusty bolts. Now I know you can't see it, but way back in here, there's 2 bolts holding on the starter motor. You can remove those. Well, there's a nut on the top one, which goes, the starter motor goes through a stud, and then the bottom one's a bolt, which also holds the bracket that holds that clutch hose. So you remove the 2 from the master cylinder, or slave cylinder just now, but that hose will hold it in place. So once you remove the lower bolt on the starter motor, that cable or hose will move. Okay, so once you get the 2 bolts, or well, the 1 bolt and the 1 nut out for the starter, just lay it alongside the motor. You don't need to take it out or anything. On a side note, look what came out with the starter. And that's a piece of clutch fiber, it looks like. I can't really tell. But yeah, my clutch wasn't slipping, so I don't know why there'd be clutch fibers, but it's interesting. I guess we'll find out. And so now the slave cylinder's just dangling there, now that we got the hardline mount disconnected from the bell housing there. Okay, now let's remove this cross brace here. Alright, well I put some PB Blaster on those bolts. In the meantime, let's remove these 4 right here. Alright, the next step is to remove that cross brace. You can see that I got the transmission now supported by a hydraulic jack there, going across on a 2x12. So that supports that, and then once you have that off, you can get the front drive shaft off. And so yeah, go ahead and do that. Alright, so at this point, the only thing that's preventing us from taking this transmission off is the bolts that hold it to the motor. So you can go ahead and start loosening those. Alright, the next step is put your transmission jack under the transmission. And now to get the top 2 bolts off the bell housing, if you lower the transmission enough, you can get an angle on it with a swivel socket and loosen those top 2 bolts. Now when you remove the transmission, the engine will tilt backwards, so you want to put a 2x4 or something between the differential there and the oil pan. So hopefully that works. The next thing you can do is get your swivel socket 17 and remove the 2 bolts that hold the 2 remaining bolts that hold the bell housing to the engine. Okay, so we got the last bolts out. Transmission's held on just by 23 years or so, and the jack. So now we're ready to lower the unit. Looks like it's doing something. Yeah. Let me get a screwdriver in there. So we have a gap here at the bottom. Let me see if there's a gap at the top. So we have a well, there it goes. Okay?
Yeah?
Yeah. Okay.
Now we're going to roll backwards.
Okay, I guess we'll go down now.
It looks.
Okay, cool.